Alright, some of you have been asking about my winch setup and how I have it all going here, so I figured I'd go through. I've got a locking pin into a front mount hitch receiver for the time being until I get a bigger bumper. I was kind of on a budget, so this is how I did things. But inside you can see that I've got a quick connect. It is long enough to actually peek it out the driver's side hole and actually let it hang out, but I keep it tucked into the bumper because it looks cleaner and less likely to catch on anything when being used. Walking back here, I've got another quick connect run all the way from the front. I've got it on a magnet so that when it's not being used, it attaches to the hitch to keep it tucked up and out of the way. It's got this little weather protector, as all of the plugs in this setup do have. So I can actually plug the winch into the hitch receiver here and plug it in there and actually run the winch off the back as well. Otherwise, if I hook up the trailer has a quick connect as well that will plug in to there. Just wired next to the 7-pin. Put this little casing around it, a little conduit, just make it look a little nicer. And that goes direct to the big Optima battery that I have inside the box. See if I can get a good shot here. By doing that, I have juice for the winch, and when I actually also moved the trailer emergency battery, the brake battery, up inside here to get it out of the weather. This is actually not the original one that came with this brand new trailer, less than a year old, and the other one rotted out completely, so I had to replace all that and got all that taken care of. Also added a electric jack, which is kind of nice. It has some lights on it. It's got one of those on each side. But back to the winch setup. Up under the frame rail here, see if I can get a shot of where it's coming from here. I also have this cord, which also has a magnet. I just have it tucked inside the frame rail on a magnet. Typically what I'll do is, if I'm using the winch on the trailer, I'll pop it up through there on the inside of the frame rail instead of the outside. And then I have the hitch mount right there that I built myself. I know the welds aren't the prettiest, but you know, I don't claim to be a pro welder. But I built all this front section here, rebuilt it all because the factory stuff just was not sufficient. It was very flimsy. It was angle iron. It wasn't very thick angle iron. This is supposed to be a 10,000-pound trailer, so there wasn't really any good spot to tie anything down. So I also added the D-rings. You can see there. Built up the front, made it a lot stronger, a lot more steel up front now. Also, what I did is added some electrical into the box, so I have LED lighting all inside of there for nighttime. And this switch here actually will control these lights. I have 2 of those on magnets, so I can stick them anywhere to the trailer that's obviously steel. And they plug into these little guys right here. Well, in any case, I've got one here and I've got one on the other side of the box, one for each light. And they're both on short cords so that they'll pop up right on here. Or I also have 20-foot extensions so that I can actually send them all the way to the back of the trailer if I so choose, if I need light back there for any reason. I just figured that that was a better way to do it so that thieves wouldn't take it. I've had a lot of things stolen from me in my life, so I'm kind of protective of my stuff. So I figured, at least if I keep it in a locked box, it'll keep the honest people honest. Throughout this project, I also decided I wound up with some extra long jumper cables and had one end cut. Long story short, I opted to make some new jumper cables. So on one end, I have the alligator clamps. This is the 20-foot section, and that goes to a quick connect down here. And because they were so long and the way everything panned out, I also have a 46-foot extension running on the quick connects as well. I have used these jumper cables. They do work. In fact, I was working on my truck just the other day and in my driveway, and I had it all open, and I didn't have the batteries disconnected, so they lost just enough juice to fire a cold diesel up. So I had to have my buddy jump me just real quick. It was real easy, but I actually took just the 20-foot. He was parked behind me, behind my driveway, and I just plugged in this 20-foot section and clamped the clamps onto his Suzuki Samurai, and it fired my truck right up. This is probably the last winter I'm going to get on these batteries. I'm in California, so winter is not very rough, but it is getting to be about time for batteries. The batteries that I want are pretty expensive, so I'm trying to get as much out of these as I can before I drop the big money on the good batteries. So this is my truck, y'all. Hope this helps anybody else who's looking to do something.